All right, folks, let's take a look here at the news. So, just recently I reviewed Descent, the new version of Descent, and it has very heavy usage of the app. Well, Hasbro doesn't want to be left in the dust. There's an app for their upcoming Hero Quest. This is being released late 2021. I guess that's when they're fulfilling their the Pulse, which is their version of Kickstarter. So you're going to be able to use the app to play as the bad guy. In the game, you actually need someone to play the bad guy. I don't know. This is interesting.
So the app's going to allow you to just play without like a DM. I know it's not a DM, but like someone playing against you, you can just have the app do that for you.
Yeah.
Sounds good. That's great. I love being able to turn a one versus all game into just co-op with an app.
Yeah, I mean, I like one versus many type games, but this is a great option when you don't want to have that. I almost feel dirty that I backed this game. Because,
yeah, you know what? I'm right there with you. I have the same feeling.
I don't have an emotional connection to Hero Quest because I didn't play it when I was younger. For whatever reason, it just didn't. And I played plenty of games. It just wasn't. But I saw all the chrome they were putting into it, and I was like, I got it. And so having a real basic dungeon crawling game that doesn't, not rules intensive was a good idea, but I feel dirty. I'm happy they're doing this, so this will actually help.
I think you won't be a huge fan of the game because it's really light. I mean, really, I played it recently, and I was like, wow, this is much lighter than I remember.
Yeah, I feel dirty.
All right, our next piece of news is not about a party at Mr. Buonocore's house. The Gathering of the Wicket.
Wow.
This is a remake of Werewolves of Miller's Hollow, or just Werewolves. Werewolves of Miller's Hollow is the Asthma version, which they said in their press release has sold, I think, over 2 million copies. That's a lot considering that's just one version of Werewolf that exists, because we have Ultimate Werewolf from Ted Alspach. Looney Labs has a version of Werewolf. There's probably other companies out there making it. So it looks like Werewolf, but then just all the different characters have special abilities and you're playing the Disney villains.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cute, a little underwhelming, especially since I think that Bezier Games kind of had, it's cornered the market on all of it. I look forward to the release of their. I'm wondering if this is a complete
reskin of Werewolf or if it's a different game, because in Werewolf you have the werewolves against the villagers. Here you have Wicket people against Wicket people, or are there villains? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Do these characters have special abilities that are new to this box, or is it just sort of like, oh, this is the hunter, this is the seer, whatever, from Werewolf? Yeah, I don't know. I'm with Steven on this one. It's a little underwhelming, whatever this is.
All righty. Well, I remember 10 years ago, people complained a lot about the fact that the Herbert estate was not giving out the license to anybody. They must have suddenly gone, we like money, because now they're giving it out to everybody. So we have another Dune game coming. This is Dune Betrayal. This is from Gale Force 9, and it is from Don Eskridge, who designed the Resistance. So I think we can say it's a social deduction game. Also, it says that in the press release.
Right. Yeah, so this makes me excited because I love the Resistance.
Really, I'm more excited about the villain one than I am about this one.
No, I love the Resistance. So hopefully Don has done a different take on the Resistance, which is a phenomenal game. And it's same player count. So this is cool. I just hopefully it's a departure from what the Resistance is to make it more different and interesting.
Does seem like suddenly Dune-themed games, especially the movie version, which is what people seem to have the rights to, are flooding the market. This is, 4 in about a year's span, maybe less time than that.
I think there's 5, actually, but yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, I guess. I mean, the Dune Imperium, I've played. I like that game. I think it's a great game. And haven't seen the movie. Obviously, it's not out. And I'm not a Dune fan. I'm not that well versed in it. I don't really know it. And that game works. It's fine. But then all of these other ones, like this one feels like I need to go in there prepared to bring my own sort of emotional attachment to Dune to really get the most out of this. And I just don't have it. So I wonder if this is going to continue in some of the other upcoming Dune games, that you need to bring a lot to the table yourself, your knowledge, quotes from the movie, just getting into that world a little more.
I'm thinking that the movie is going to be phenomenally big, so that we're all going to re-energize or just establish Dune knowledge in our heads. The last touch of Dune I had really was the movie from the early 80s, which was a great movie if you knew the story already. If you knew the story, it made sense. So I watched that movie. I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. So hopefully the movie's going to be as good as the hype is, and therefore we're going to want to play these games. Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
All right, well, speaking of movies, now we're going to go back, an old movie. This is from Modifius Entertainment. They announced a game based on James Bond. This movie is called Spectre, but it is not based on the new movie Spectre. It's based on the organization Spectre, which I guess has been around in James Bond for a long time. And what's hilarious to me is the villain here on the front of the box. I think it's Dr. No, right?
I believe, yes, that is Dr. No, I believe.
Right. And so when that came out, that's a big deal. But I think Austin Powers has so co-opted this look, and that tagline there, "Can you be number one with that guy?" I instantly thought, oh, this is a funny game. It's not, but it's just weird how that's happened.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Well, that's Goldfinger, right?
Oh, that's right. Oh, I got the wrong one.
Anyway, this game looks pretty interesting. I'm really hoping this is good. You're going to be one of the villains, and you're all fighting with each other to be number one for Spectre. And it has locations and weapons and stuff. It looks neat on the back of the box. I'm pretty interested. And it has a really good design team. Antoine Bauz is involved.
Yeah.
And Ludovic Montblanc and Theo Rivera. And there's like 6 designers here. I can't pronounce almost all their names.
Yeah, it's cool. This looks neat. And Modifius has made some really neat themed games in the past. They did the Thunderbirds game they've put out in the past. Is a really good game. I like it quite a bit.
Kung Fu Panda, I like that one.
So yeah, this is neat. I really don't love the cover. I wish that they would have gone for something a little more dynamic. But
it's Dr. Evil, by the way.
That's
Dr. Evil is the Austin Powers one.
Saying that it's Blofeld is his name. The movie Dr. No name was Blofeld.
Okay. I apologize. I get the guys. But again, I've only seen that movie that this guy's in maybe once. But this guy, the bad guy with a cat, became such a thing. It was an Inspector Gadget. It's like the trope. Austin Powers took it even farther, but it's that thing, right?
Yeah. True. Yeah.
I love James Bond. I love everything about James Bond. I can't wait to see this.
All right, now we have Boone Lake from Alexander Pfister from Capstone Games with a very striking cover. The top half, a polluted city, and the bottom half, a pristine lake with a lotus flower in the middle. I really like that cover.
Yeah, very nice.
What's the game about?
It's originally DLP games, and you're improving your life and your group's life in a new territory. I'm trying to find out how it plays. It's a follow-up to the last 2 games that these companies did together was Maracaibo and Cloud Age. So there's project cards. It's hard to tell here exactly, but it doesn't matter. It's Alexander Pfister. I'm in.
It's going to be a big Euro.
Yeah, exactly. It's, these released, the sort of material that they release every time they announce one of these games always kind of sounds the same. Innovative new action mechanism, or innovative new, mechanism with which you will grow your empire, or whatever. It's like, okay, great. It's innovative. Great.
It's a big game too. $70 retail, 165 project cards, 150 wooden pieces. So this is going to be a biggie. And DLP Games that's kind of their niche, the heavy Euros. So this could be good.
It's a good-looking board. I do like that board.
Yep.
All righty. So,
Maracaibo.
Yes. Well, thank you. Speaking of Maracaibo, the Uprising. This is an expansion for Maracaibo where there's a campaign, which there was a campaign in the original game, whatever. It's just a series of games. But more scenarios and more stuff for the game. So players are now the indigenous people under colonial bondage trying to liberate the cities. So it's interesting. I don't know how this expansion will change the game. I mean, it sounds like a different game almost. So we'll just have to wait and see how it plays.
Cool. Coming out November in the U.S. and October in Germany.
All right, Restoration Games announced a lot of things last month. One of them was the Omega Virus. So now they're doing kind of a viral marketing by releasing a mini game here, Omega Virus Prologue, a real-time tableau building game. It's not the Omega Virus. They keep saying that and everything because I think people get, what, Omega Virus is out? No, it's not out. It's just a small little game here. Is it out now? Like you can print it or it's coming out soon? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but I have seen their marketing for it, and there is a lot of, like, I do like the sort of vibe they're going with here. Now, the Omega Virus itself, have you guys played the original? Either one of you?
Nope.
I played it once. It has the most annoying robotic opponent in history. It's just a jerk. He'll be like, you're going to lose, like the whole time.
Okay.
That's funny.
I've never played it either, and it's a game from 1992, it says here. And this is coming to, I believe, I guess they haven't really talked about, but I'm assuming this is going to be a Kickstarter from them.
I'm guessing so. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, you should be able to play out this small 2-player game. It says Q3 2021, so that's now-ish or very soon.
Amigo has some exciting news. They invented time travel because they've stayed in the present and got the great Uwe Rosenberg on board to design a game for them. And then they went to the 80s and got the cover. And this is in Tulpenfieber. That's a terrible cover, Zeke. Tell me it's a good cover.
No, it's not a good cover, but I wouldn't say it's like horrifically bad.
Well, yeah,
There's plenty of bad covers.
I was talking to Mike about this. Everything about this, except for the name Uwe Rosenberg, that board looks boring. The description is boring. You're like moving tulips around in a field. Maybe if it had better artwork and stuff, I'd be more excited. But whew. And I
think you're overestimating how exciting other Rosenberg games are. In their look, I mean.
No, I just played New York Zoo from Capstone Games, and that game looks amazing.
Okay, but most of his games look like this. They don't look exciting. They're great games, but they don't look captivating. They're just good. This might be great.
They should
this might
look
be a great
captivating.
Game. I agree with that. I agree. This is a 2-player only game, I assume. So the cover
1 to 4.
Oh, okay. So that's a problem with the cover. The cover makes it look like it is red tulips versus blue tulips, head-to-head game. So I think the cover falls down there. I think the cover should tell you something about the game you're about to play, and this one is misleading.
I'm just astonished at how many games about tulips have been published.
That's the truth of it.
Baby.
Now, that was a thing. I mean, that is a historical thing that there was this bubble in the tulip market.
Scott Nicholson designed a whole board game around it.
He did, but there's been literally like 5 games around tulips. Now, I wouldn't have known this was a tulip thing until I read it because I don't know that I didn't realize that the name is obviously Tulip Fever, right? Tulip Fever.
Yeah, Tulip Fever.
But it's pretty interesting. I don't hate the cover. The boards are very generic, though.
Another cover I'm not loving is Armonia. This is from Skelling Games. And this is a follow-up to a previous game where they did Sagani. And this answers an unresolved question from the previous game, which I love. Like, what is the origin of the harmonious melodies forged in the sound discs that awaken the spirits of nature? Who asked that question?
I have played. I own Sagani. I think it's a neat game. And I'll tell you, the one thing I always walked away thinking every time I played Sagani was, where is this music coming from?
Where is it coming from? It doesn't make any sense. We need to know this.
I wish somebody would come up with a piece of literature, maybe a novel, a TV series, or even a game that answers that question. And here we go, finally. Armonia can quench my thirst for knowledge.
Shouldn't it be like Harmonia?
Sure, why not?
Almost like
ammonia.
Do you like Sagani then, Zee?
Sagani's neat. Yeah, Sagani is it's based on the really popular one. The that had the moon. What was that game called? I don't know. Somebody's gonna put it in the comments. That was like an award nominee where you would move around this little moon shape and collect tiles and make like a little tile grid. I can't remember what it's called.
Luna,
anyway,
right?
Not Luna. Luna is the Stephen Feld game. People will say it in the comments.
I never played Sagani. I don't even remember seeing this one.
It's a very similar game. So, yeah, it's very abstract. It's just, again, kind of like a tile laying thing. And so this has the same look. Sort of cute monsters is the look. And that's nice. Definitely not the kind of game I ever thought needed a sequel, that's for sure. And I don't know if this is very different of a game or not.
Nova Luna.
All I've got here is the cover.
Zee,
Nova Luna. There we go. Nova Luna.
Of course.
All right. Knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe has made a deck building game from Renegade Games. I think looking at this may be, I can't tell if this is a new game because it's done by, I think Matt Hydra is doing this, right?
No, this is a T.C. Petty, the third game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So then this is a completely new game. That's interesting.
I'm assuming this is not, it kind of looks like it should be, right? But I don't think this is one of those Cerberus games.
No. But Matt Hydra designed the Power Rangers game. I have it right here. I'm going to be reviewing it next week. You can tell it's the same designer as the Cerberus engine, but it's a different game.
Maybe this is that system.
No, but it says TC Petty.
It does.
Interesting. I mean, I'm excited about G.I. Joe. I'm less excited about a deck building G.I. Joe game. Like, I think G.I. Joe would want to move Snake Eyes and the little guys around and fight, right? Deck building, I don't know. What do you think?
I am not excited about G.I. Joe. Again, that was something I did when I was 12 years old.
You were 30 when it came out.
Played with G.I. Joe dolls or something like that, but no, I'm. That's me. I'm not hooked into this IP in the slightest bit. Deck building is deck building. A good game is a good game. So I'd like to see how this plays out. The artwork is gorgeous. I love the way it looks.
Very profound words. Deck building is deck building. A good game is a good game. Thank you.
I do like the way it looks. I like the artwork, but I know nothing about G.I. Joe. And deck building was my number one pick for mechanisms.
Overdone.
I think are overdone. So it seems like, I hate to say this because I know a lot of work goes into this. Don't get me wrong. But it just seems like if you've got an IP, you finally, you bought the rights to that IP and you don't know what to do with it, it's a deck building game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I don't know. That always feels to me a little bit like underwhelming. I want to see something more interesting than this. I mean, this looks like, I look at this cover and I think of the very first DC Comics deck building game cover that came out. What's that, a decade ago now?
Yeah.
It looks like they could have come out the same day, I don't know.
Well, we'll see. All right, Portal Games announced the Hiroshima Hex app. Now, you might say, it already exists. It does.
It already exists.
It does, but they're redoing it, and I think the last one hasn't been updated for a while. They're just redoing it, I think.
Last one, I tried playing. Last time I tried playing, it was not working, basically. I think they just sort of let that one go, or whoever was the company behind it has let it go, and they brought this in-house, right? Like, they're developing it.
I think so, but here's the good news, folks. Before you get up into arms, if you bought the previous version, you get the new one for free.
What about all the armies I purchased?
You take up with Ignacy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to stave off rage here.
Yeah. We just also announced this on Board Games Insider, and it's he's very excited about it. And he did say you get the game for free. I don't know about the armies and stuff like that. But
well, I better get the armies for free. I paid for all of them to unlock all of them. Tell Ignacy to give me a call. How about that?
I know a guy. I'll take care. I got
some things I want to say to you.
The next piece of news I found to be very interesting. So WebSphere, a company I didn't hear of till I read this piece of news, acquires Flying Buffalo. Now, there's some history involved here. Flying Buffalo was started by Rick Loomis, who its most famous game was Nuclear War, a card game that was out for, 30 years, whatever. And Rick Loomis was the president of Gamma for a very long time. And every convention I went to at Origins for a long time, Rick Loomis would sit there at his booth selling the Nuclear War and whatever else he had, selling at that booth. He was like Tunnels and Trolls. He was a staple there, and he passed away in 2019.
Yep.
So WebSphere bought it, but what I didn't know is a couple things. First of all, WebSphere had already bought Toy Vault, which is Toy Vault. They had a lot of IPs. Most of their games aren't very good, but I didn't know that. But more interesting to me, WebSphere is owned by John Ward, who was the Origins director for a decade. Gamma and him parted ways in 2019 also, around the same time. So this is really intriguing to me. They're going to be at Gen Con, so I'm going to swing by. I haven't seen John since, for a few years now. So I thought that'd be interesting. Him and his wife looks like are running this company. Do you know anything about this?
I don't. This is actually news to me. I also haven't seen
news
John
to
since
everybody.
then.
It's the news.
Thank you, Zee. I appreciate that. So it looks as you're saying that John is increasing his presence with buying some older IPs. It'd be interesting to see because the stuff by Loomis, the stuff by Flying Buffalo was very iconic, and as it's mentioned in the article, and as I think you said, this stuff like almost started some of the industry in a lot of ways, and Rick Loomis certainly, being the president of Gamma for so long. It's going to be interesting to see if he's just going to republish the games, right? Nuclear War, right? That was the big one, and Tunnels and Trolls.
I don't know if these games they're very old games, right? I feel like they need to be redone.
They're very old games. So would you take the IP and kind of bring it, modernize it? I guarantee there'll be an audience for a new that maybe with more interest. The old games, War, it's very old. In its mechanics. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. Hopefully I'll see John like you will at Gen Con. It'd be very good.
All right, let's jump to Asmodee, the company that buys everybody. If you remember a bit ago, we talked about them buying Plan B Games. They bought a company from Sophie Gavel twice. They bought her company. Well, they didn't want her to go off and start Studio C or Plan C or whatever. So instead, they've just hired her to run Z-Man Games. You say, but wait. Z-Man Games is run by Steve Kimball. Maybe you don't say that. You might not know that stuff, right?
If you say that, you're an insider, my friend.
Although, listen, Steve Kimball. So anyway, that's the news in that regard. But I want to talk about Steve Kimball for a second. If you get a chance, go to zmangames.com. And Steve wrote a blog there talking about his history in gaming. And he's really been involved. He was spearheaded X-Wing when that came out. He helped with Star Wars Rebellion. And he talks about these different things. He's now being promoted to Director of Special Projects, so he's going to be helping us. He talked about working with Corey Kineska with his new branding, which is I forget the name of that.
The initiative
branding.
Is the game, but the company.
Right, the initiative. So anyway, he's going to be working on that. Anyway, it's a very good blog if you get a chance to read it. So this is also interesting because we had all been talking about, will Sophie start another company? Well, she's not going to be if she's running Z-Man. How will this change Z-Man and stuff? I don't know that it will change it much at all, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it's a very unexpected name, Tom.
That's the name of the company. Good job.
Unexpected Games is the name of the company, yes.
That's Corey's company, right?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Yes. So anyway, Steve Kimball, awesome dude. The promotion is fantastic. Director of Special Projects. I could see a huge need, within Asmodee for someone who then basically takes the lead on doing some big strategic things that they're going to need to do over the next few years to consolidate things, to create new branches of that company. So couldn't think of a better guy. Kudos to Steve on that new position. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he knows his stuff, so.
Yeah.
And finally, a very popular game from Ravensburger, Horrified, using the Universal Studios Monsters, came out a few years ago in 2019. Very popular game. What everyone's been talking is there going to be an expansion. Will they add the extra monsters? Well, no, they're doing something different. They made a sequel to it. They're not compatible as far as I can tell, called Horrified American Monsters, where they're using classic, folklore monsters. The word for this is cryptid, right? Bigfoot,
Cryptids,
Mothman, cryptids, the Chupacabra, Ozark Howler, things like that. I'm curious. This is obviously not going to have the drawing power, the monster-wise. Like, I don't think a lot of people go around like, oh, the Jersey Devil. They'll think you're talking about a hockey team. No, I'm serious. But I mean, we don't sit around and, the Chupacabra is kind of a thing in the background while Frankenstein and Dracula are much more in the presence. At the same time, I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's neat.
They picked legends.
I like this. I really like this theme.
All right, they actually picked urban legends or country legends. Bigfoot, the Jersey Devil, the Chupacabra versus like all those classic things. Yeah, I think this is kind of cool.
I don't think you can mix them, though.
With the other monsters.
I don't think so.
You mean thematically, Tom, or like actually mechanically?
I mean mechanically. I don't think so.
No, I don't think you can mix them because there's a deck of cards in the game which propels forward monster activation and things like that. Oh. And you couldn't mix those cards from the new one with the old one. Unless they have some new answer to that problem, it's pretty hard to not only combine these, but to expand the original would be very tricky.
I think they would have announced that they would have been compatible, honestly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like Horrified, but I have to say I'm more excited about this theme than classic movie monsters. I like this better.
Well, I like classic movie, but this is cool too. But this is cool.
Do.
Well, you're
That's the news, folks. Thanks for watching.